Hey everybody, so you're here chatting with Nicole Kane and Chris Gooch. Is that how you pronounce it?
Correct.
Yeah. I was like, either I'm going to butcher this because I'm European or I'm going to get it right because I'm European. So, we're here talking about his newest work, which is Starship Godzilla. It's by IDW. And we're just here to have a little bit of a chat about the comic and about Chris in himself. So, let's get into it. Um, Chris, for people who don't know who you are or what you do within comics, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've done?
Sure. I guess I've been writing and drawing my own stuff for maybe 10 years, maybe a little bit longer now, 12 years. So I primarily write and draw my own graphic novels that are published by Top Shelf, an American publisher. Done three, I'm getting close to four being done. Um, and then recently I've started doing some more writing projects as well, like the Godzilla one you mentioned, where I'm the writer and I'm working with an illustrator and an editor to sort of fit it in with the rest of the shared universe.
Nice, nice. So yeah, we kind of do the same thing, which is great. It's nice to actually talk to a writer. I usually talk to mostly artists, so it's nice to have actually somebody who else can appreciate the writing side behind everything.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
I haven't written for artists before, so it's been yeah, an interesting experience.
Well, that's good. That's good. I find that everything in comics is always learning curves, so that's interesting. Which brings me to my next thing is tell us a little bit about the story for this one for people who don't know, because I've read it all, so I don't want to spoil anything for everybody else.
For sure. So it's called Starship Godzilla. It's part of the IDW wide long relaunch of the Godzilla shared universe, and we're like the in space version. So kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, how they're off in like the far side of space while the superheroes are doing things on Earth. We have like a crew that's kind of Cowboy Bebop-y, piloting like a Mecha Godzilla out in space, going to different planets, having adventures, things along those lines. It's illustrated by Oliver Ono, and he's like an amazing artist. So
Yeah,
yeah.
he's really made the piece pop. I found that it was really punchy, really action heavy, but it also had me laughing quite a bit as well. And I really think it was a bit of a fresh take on what the Godzilla universe is. You know, when you look at Godzilla, you think this guy behind me, and you think the giant kaiju and everything like that. But it was a different spin, and I think it's hard to reinvent things that are old and overdone and put them in a new light. So that must have been a really big challenge for you.
Yeah, I mean the concept was, I think, the thing that got me the job. I like Top Shelf's owned by IDW. I work with Chris Staros, who edits at Top Shelf, and just on a whim, I had an idea for a Godzilla story, so I wrote it up and did a drawing, and I asked if he could send it on. And yeah, that was sent through to Jake Williams, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I really like the concept." So I was definitely very lucky to get into contact with him, but it was like I'm very grateful that it was easy just to like come up with something, no pressure, that then happened to find the right person, and then yeah, I don't know, go on to become a little project.
Did they pair you with the other guy, Oliver? Was his name?
Yeah, so um, I pitched it and I was like, I could draw this, but I think someone else would definitely be better. And I don't think, yeah, I don't think they particularly wanted me to draw it necessarily. Uh, Jake had mentioned Oliver like really early on, and I was like, I would really love to work with him, but um, it took a while to get him locked in. So he sort of came on after we had finalized the first like arcs worth of stuff. Um, but yeah, I really, really want to work with him as soon as his name was mentioned
Well,
because
that's fantastic.
he did a Monster Island summer camp, Godzilla Monster Island summer camp book, and like I remember just seeing it online randomly, and I was like, I have to buy that. Like it's so beautifully illustrated, it's so cartoony and expressive, and like anime without feeling like derivative, like in any way. It feels like an iteration that's like genuine, sincere. It's yeah, beautiful work.
Yeah, yeah. I felt that when I was reading it. It gave slight anime vibes, which I think ties really nicely into the whole Godzilla thing. But at the same time, it felt like a totally different style was emerging between comics and that anime style. When you put it in color, manga and stuff like that is generally black and white. When you put it in color, it just looked really cool and really different for what this title was looking for. And I think that you did a fantastic job, and we definitely can't wait to read more. The
Thank you.
first
I'll send you issue two. I've got that one as a PDF, so I can.
Oh, fantastic. That would be great. Yeah, it really got me. I read quite a lot of comics, so when I find something good, it's a nice surprise, especially when you look at the comic book community and what they're doing now with comics, which is awesome. But one thing I wanted to ask was what got you into sort of the Godzilla kaiju thing? Have you always liked it, or was it just something that you kind of had rattling around in the back of your head?
Um, I had just rewatched Shin Godzilla with my partner, and like, I'm not like a massive kaiju or Godzilla person, but I love Shin Godzilla. Probably because I also love like Evangelion and stuff. So I think I was just sort of like thinking of like had it in the back of my head, and I was like, oh, it'd be fun to have it in space, like on a starship, bounty hunters, things like that. Um, it was like quite a while ago now, so I do struggle to remember the specifics. It's like issue one came out like a month ago or something, but I'm pretty sure I pitched this more than a year ago, and it was just at the beginning when they were starting to get the wheels turning on doing the whole like relaunch and shared universe stuff. So it took like I had a long time to write it, which was great, and I'm very glad for it actually coming out now. But yeah, my memory is quite poor.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, most if people who don't know this, most bigger the publishers and things like that, they tend to take a little bit of time to actually come up with concepts and things like that, and that's just to perfect their concept and the image that they work with the team. So it's nice to know a little bit behind the scenes that you did have this idea, brewing around for so long, and like you said before, you had the first arc already done before the artist even came on board. So that would have been really cool to start seeing it sort of evolve into this piece.
Yeah, definitely. The first like I had the outline, so it definitely changed a lot with Oliver coming on. But yeah, it has been like a total privilege to get to see him draw something that I've written. Like seeing the pages come in and like you'll send me some photos on Instagram and stuff. Like it's like, yeah, very lucky. I really love Oliver's work. It's fantastic.
It sounds like you really like doing not only the project but working with IDW as well. How's that relationship going?
Good. I mean, the only contact I have is with Jake, who's the Godzilla umbrella editor, and Oliver, really. Um, but it's lovely. Like I really like working with Jake and Oliver, but it's a big company, so I don't really know about the rest.
Well, that's still good. It still gives people an insight to what it's like to work with one of the top tier people. A lot of people don't get that chance, and I think when somebody does get that opportunity, it's kind of like they're a little bit in the shadows, and it's like, oh, I wonder what it'd be like for them. But if you've had a great relationship already, that's stellar. Like IDW produces some amazing pieces of work. I know that they are mostly sort of kid focused with most of their major titles. I think they did My Little Pony, they did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things like that. So yeah, I find that they look like a really great company to work with, especially when you've got such a rocking concept like Starship Godzilla. Like I couldn't see it anywhere else. I think you found the best home for it, honestly.
Thank you. Yeah, working with licensed stuff is definitely a new experience. But yeah, it's been really, yeah, really lovely.
That's wonderful. This being a total sort of different thing to what you've written to different pieces, like your other works, like Under Earth and In Utero, did you find that there was any difficulty or any challenges that you sort of came across?
My other stuff is like a lot of it is genre stuff. So like there's big monsters in utero and lots of fighting and kinetic movement and stuff like that. Lots of action in Under Earth. So like subject wise, yeah, there's some continuity there. Probably the two biggest differences are like navigating like licenses. So like working for something where like there are a bunch of rules about what you can and can't do. And like to be honest, I haven't really had anybody say no to anything, but I do know that like you can't kill Godzilla or like I can't at least. Like, you know, there are limitations and it is sort of like fundamentally like collaborative in that sense.
Yep.
Whereas with my own work, you know, mostly I can do whatever I want. Um, and then also like writing scripts, I'm sure you'd understand, like if you're drawing it yourself and you're like, ah, it doesn't work, I'll just chuck a couple extra panels in, or like if it's more graphic novel, you can be like, there's not that difference between like bigger difference between 200 pages and 210 pages.
Yeah.
Like, so you can make those choices, but if you're writing a script that's 22 pages and it has to be a complete story and it has to introduce like new characters and a concept, it has to have like a hook at the end and a bunch of action, like you need to hit these beats within those 22 pages and not make it like deeply frustrating and horrible for the artist to illustrate. Like, I don't know, I'll pick up like a Tom King book or another like superhero thing that's like 9 panels, and I'll just be like, oh, that looks like so frustrating to have to draw. Like, that's a lot of heavy lifting for the artist to be doing.
Yeah, yeah. They're telling the story at this point.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's been the other part of it is like, it's been nice writing something and being like, oh, I don't know if this will work, you know, panel description or sequence or transition. And then all of it does. And I'm like, oh, that's way better than like what I was imagining. Like it's nice to have somebody else like iterating and improving like on the next step of it, as opposed to like when I'm drawing it myself, I've got to do all of that stuff and solve all those problems, and it can only be as good as I can make it. But I can kind of count on all of it to always be improving on the scripts and stuff that I send in.
Yeah, and it's that joint collaboration that when you do give them a line, they almost can interpret it their own way, but pluck it out of your head as well. You know, they see where your line is going.
Yes, yeah. Although, yeah, I can be a bit, I try not to be too long-winded, but I definitely err onto the side more of like, here's what I'm thinking. I want to give it to you with the detail that I'm imagining, but you don't have to do any of it. Like, if you got a better idea, do that. Or, you know, if you don't think it's going to work, don't do it. But like, I have to explain myself so that you can be like, that's a good idea or a bad idea, and, you know, make your own choice. So
Yeah, that
probably the
artist brain fighting with the writer brain, you know.
Yeah, I find the scripts for 22 pages are about 5,000 words. I
Yeah.
don't know if that is short, long, where that comes in on average, but that's it generally.
And do you usually do prefer graphic novels over short scripts or vice versa?
Um, I mean, this is the first experience I've had just writing something that's published monthly in the direct market comic book shops. But I don't think that I can illustrate something that is just 22 page chapters each time. Like, I just think that the way I like write when I'm writing for myself and illustrate, it just starts to become more and more like cinematic and less compressed and stretch out a bit more. And that's kind of, I hope, a strength of the things that I make. But like the other side of that is like I wouldn't trust me to draw a Spider-Man comic like 22 pages. Yeah, I think I'd do a poor job, is my opinion, if I was the illustrator on one of those.
No,
Um,
I think you would put a very artsy spin on it, which would look fantastic.
it's very kind.
Um, your work in your other pieces, like In Utero and Under Earth, is very like I was just saying, very artistic. It is a difference when I was reading those to this piece. I was like, oh, okay, I can still feel your dialogue and your text coming through, but they are quite different. It was actually really nice to see both of them in contrast with each other. But how do you feel as the writer looking at both pieces? Do you enjoy doing sort of the bigger pieces, or do you enjoy doing something that is a little bit more shorter but with a little bit more pop to it? Or do you continue doing something like that in the future, maybe instead?
I'd love to do more like writing stuff and working with other artists. And I think just like in terms of the practical limitations of any sort of project. Like the shorter the better in a lot of cases, even if it's just like, you know, 5 issues, but everything's 22 pages. Like
Yeah.
if it's compact, that means that it's like a much more manageable job, project that's easy to fund, etc. If I'm the writer versus if I'm the writer and illustrator, then I can make it as long as I want. Um, but I guess I like both. I think it depends on what kind of day I'm having. Like I spent today drawing. I've taken some annual leave from my day job. So I've got the week to just relax and draw my own stuff right now. So I've had a nice day. If I'd had like a day where I'm like banging my head against the wall, I'd probably be like saying the opposite and say like, "Oh, I'd love to do more writing and I'd love to do more other stuff." But
I would I would love to take some days off work, but I think they would yell at me. So I do take days off work when I do have conventions, though. I think work is a little bit kind to me with that. But as a comic creator, it's hard to find time to sit down there and, like you just said, do a block of something, and push it out.
yes, I find that I do. Like I'm lucky enough to my day job is part-time and I can subsidize the rest with writing and illustration at the moment. But so I do get time to sit down and illustrate and draw, but I do a lot of it like in between, like the in between times, like before I go to bed or like when I have an hour or two, I sneak and do it then. Um, yeah, there's not necessarily like a strict routine I have because it is like, yeah, it can be difficult to find the time to sit down and dedicate something regularly when you have like a day job and a partner and we have a dog and a cat and lots of other family and things like
I,
that. Like,
I must pay attention to the babies or they will kill me.
oh, or they'll eat the couch. Like
Yep. Yep.
our dog is lovely, but she's doing much better now. But we had a rough first year when we got her from the she was a rescue. But yeah, doing great now.
That's good. My cat just sleeps 90% of the time and then he'll just walk all over the keyboard and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, great, here you are, you're here. So, yeah,
My
I know.
cat knows what the smartphones are, so she'll like knock the smartphone off the bedside table at night because she knows that's the high value item. Um, but they do make great, like they're great to have while you're working. Like cats and dogs make great company if you're
Yeah,
spending a whole day or several days just alone
literally,
concentrating on the
I think
thing.
if you do want to go into comics or if you do want to go into writing or art or anything like that, your starter kit needs to be a computer, a decent amount of tea or coffee in the background, and a pet of your choice. That needs to be
Yes.
your starter kit. And
Mhm.
everybody should get handed one of those when you do start in this industry. A copious amount of tea or coffee, and you'll be fine. Go, my friend. We will not see you for the next 6 months.
Yes.
Um,
I wholeheartedly agree.
yeah, that's what happens with me. I sort of get bogged down when I get to writing, and then I become a shut-in for a while. And people are like, "Oh, you haven't done anything," and I'm like, "I've done stuff, just not with you." So, but did you have a deadline for this particular title or this particular work, or were they pretty okay with you just sort of getting stuff out in and then doing the artwork so they could push it out faster?
So the graphic novels that I do myself with Top Shelf, I have deadlines, and I've missed them once or twice, but there's always that process where they check in early to make sure or see where it's on track, and then checking in early so things can be adjusted. In terms of the script writing for Godzilla, just because we had so much lead time, I never came up against any deadlines because we were just like way ahead of the publication date because it was for context, it's Starship Godzilla, the main title, and Dead Zone, and we were the last of the three. So
Yeah, yeah.
Godzilla started first, and so on. So there was like a lot of time for me to finish the scripts and the outline and make adjustments and all that stuff. But if I do more work in the future, I think yeah, deadlines will be a new challenge like that because again, like if it's an artist, they're waiting on you for their work, like so they can keep working and get paid and live their life, and they don't want to be having to play catch up just because you didn't get your shit together.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
absolutely right. And people take a cue from that. Keep to your deadlines if you possibly can, because then artists get annoyed with you.
Mm. I mean,
Um,
like, family tragedies or whatever. That's very
yeah,
different.
yes,
But
stuff like that. And life does get in the way, but yeah, communication is probably the best thing when you're in our business. And it's interesting to talk to somebody who not only writes their own stuff but draws their own stuff. So you're in quite a good position to sort of command your own work. And do you find any challenges with yourself doing that, or are you quite a sort of like, I want to get this done and this motivates me kind of person?
oh, like in terms of like just keeping up motivation and
Yeah, like I find that, myself personally, I don't draw. I have no artistic talent whatsoever. My drawings are doodles, and for me, it's just getting the writing done, and then once the artwork comes back, then I can do the second half of it. But you would probably do everything from writing to drawing to then formatting and printing, and then delivering the scripts and delivering the artwork.
I definitely have done everything previously. For the Godzilla book, I just send a PDF and then some notes when lettering comes back. Um, in terms of my own stuff, yeah, I do like the lettering, coloring, some of the design stuff. It's always a collaboration with whoever's setting up the like print document and stuff like that. Oftentimes Top Shelf have had Um, we've had help from like their graphic designer to get the title right because I'm getting better, but I still haven't really wrapped my head completely around like the graphic design of like fonts and all of that for a catchy cover. Um, and I've done like a lot of self-publishing as well. Um, but that's sort of a lot of like Rizzo, like very much like I hand stapled it and hand printed it and collated it and had like a million stacks of pages that I had to slot in together. Um, but I do less and less of that stuff now just because I don't really have the patience for it anymore. It's very time consuming and yeah.
You're like, I know where I want to be going, and it's definitely not there.
Yeah, and also like I mentioned, I have a day job, like that buys me the freedom to be like this isn't like I've got rent and food covered, so I can not do like lots of zine fairs if I can't be bothered, or like I don't have to be I can just not post on Instagram for several months at a time sometimes, which is nice. It's like that app is like a cancer. Um,
Yeah, it is a beast that needs constant feeding, and if you don't,
yes,
it just you go by the wayside. So,
and it wants to feed off of you as well. It like wants to lock you in and steal as much of your time as it can.
oh yeah, yeah, I think my phone listens to me 24/7 because I'll be chatting with somebody at work about something, and the next thing I know, every single meme is that thing.
Hmm.
So, but it is interesting that you said you possibly do zine fairs. Do you do any major conventions or any events that you possibly really, really like and go to?
Like in Melbourne, I've like since COVID, I've just done less basically. Like
Yeah,
it
I
was,
think a lot of people have.
yeah, like it changed like changed my yearly routine and then I was kind of like, oh, I like this. So I didn't go back as much. But like I really love tabling it and visiting the Sticky Zine Fair, Other Worlds. I have not been, but I've heard really great things about Scamp and PCAF up in Perth.
Yeah, Scamp is a Sydney one that's actually happening next
Really
weekend. No,
fun.
this weekend.
Yes.
It's this weekend. Yes, so very excited about that one. But yeah, I think the little zine fairs are really cool. They're really fun. You get to talk to a lot of people. I think they're a little less daunting than the big conventions. You get people who actually know a bit about comics instead of just want something flashy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always felt like I think I tabled at a supernova with a friend ages and ages ago, and I felt a little bit like just in general those types of pop culture conventions. Like I visited, it's like a fun thing to do on a weekend, but like tabling with my own comics, I've always felt um like I'm gate crashing like somebody else's social event, you know?
Hey, crashing.
Like it's because it's like a lot of cosplayers and like not kids, but like young adults having fun and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like it's very like yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm like stepping on people's toes, or I just don't quite, my work doesn't quite fit there. Um, but I like going, when I get the chance. Um,
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun. They're pretty intense, but I think that zine fairs and the smaller events are quite really central to comics and very comic focused, especially with the people who attend and the attendees. So it's good to see that in the future you'll probably be getting out to this. And then shout out to anybody in Melbourne. Just rewind the video and you'll know where he's going. So
yeah, I don't think I have any plans coming up, but if you're looking for a place to go, yeah, Sticky Zine Fair would be probably my number one. Like that's the best one to start at, for me at least.
nice, nice. So when you were doing the Godzilla piece, was there anything that you really wanted to add in it that the publisher said, yeah, 100% we want to put that in there? And without giving any spoilers or anything like that, how sort of proud were you to have that little moment?
Um, Let me think. I really love the little baby kaiju that we have in issue one that then hangs around for the rest of the season. Um, and yeah, without going into too much sort of spoiler territory, I really, really like the little planet town that we visit in issue three. Like it was really fun to, yeah, design that. Like I did a bunch of sort of like schematic-y type drawings to send to Oliver because I was like trying to
That's
type it
cool.
out. Yeah, I think even if it's like you're just talking about stick figures and stuff, like I think that stuff is really useful. And same with like reference images I've been finding, like if I can just find like a still from a film, that's so much easier than like trying to explain the specifics of like how a dark room might look and evoke. And I'd be like, oh, maybe something like this, and I'll just link to like the Tarantino trunk shot. You know how you hold
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I was like trying to describe it, and then I just Googled Tarantino trunk shot. I was like, oh, I'll just send that image, like just
That,
hyperlink it in the
draw
script.
that.
Yes. Well, it's like, or like, this is what I'm imagining. Don't do this, or do this. Does, like, but this is what it could look like, as opposed to like, you know, the frame is framed by the silhouette of the inside of the boot when you can see people from different angles leaning down. Like it's just so much more clunkier to explain it instead
Yeah,
of, yeah.
yeah. Do you
Same
li
with the, sorry, yeah, go.
No, 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 you go, you keep going.
Same with some of the settings. Like I did some drawings just really to try and like make it less irritating and laborious for Oliver to like read and like have it be clear, like the thing that I'm pitching, the idea I'm pitching to him for how it could look. And like honestly, like we're at the point where like he's up to issue five. So he's pretty much drawn all of the things that I was like, oh, it could look cool like this. And every time I've sent him something, even if it's like had an illustration of exactly how it could look, it always comes back better in a way that I just had not like thought of at all. Which is, yeah. So thinking about like how I would draw the issues myself, like 100% they would be way worse than the ones Oliver's drawn.
Yeah, I feel like you also give him a little bit of breathing room. It sounds like you're giving him the chance to really interpret what you're saying, but not copy exactly what you've given him either.
Yeah. There's a lot of design work in these books. So like he's I think he's doing a lot more work than would normally be asked of like a Spider-Man artist, just to pick an example, just because like even if you're drawing like um I don't know, like a villain or whatever. Like you're drawing Spider-Man, you're drawing Venom, whatever. There's tons of reference material. You don't have to like spend 3 days coming up with like a great design for something, whereas he has like tons of new characters to do, tons of new environments. And yeah. So I try to make it as easy as I can. Though to be honest, I have no idea if I'm making it easier or harder by like it might just be easier if I was just like draw a gun that shoots lava or whatever. And then instead of yeah, anyway.
I'm sure you're making it very easy for him, and he's probably very thankful.
Yeah, he's lovely. He's a lovely guy. They're difficult scripts for sure. But yeah.
But
Anyway.
with that as well, using references as a point of showing the artist what to do and things like that. What was it like doing the research for this? Did you have a lot of fun looking up random things? Did you kind of go, "Ooh, I'm gonna like, pick this design and this design to like merge them together," or did you have a like concept of things in your head already?
Um, so I'd say for like all the kaiju and all that stuff, like Oliver is a big fan of that, and so he knows all of that. So I don't really, I'll just be like, this monster or whatever, or we've already discussed which monster, and then he just does like his version of it. But in
Yep.
terms of like the environments, yeah, like um, I remember there was like one of the settings was that it has a lot of scaffolding. It's just, it's not really a spoiler. There's a whole section of a mountain that's hollowed out, and inside there's scaffolding running everywhere. So I like went on Google and like found tons of like images that were the correct type of scaffolding that I was imagining.
Yep.
And like I don't, it doesn't really matter if he like uses that, but it's like that's so much easier than yeah writing like metal scaffolding that maybe has a lattice pattern or whatever. It's just like drop the image and be like maybe like this, but
That's good.
yeah,
That's good. I think it helps when you can sort of articulate it with the pictures and things like that. I love doing research personally. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. I will sit on Google and Pinterest for hours finding about a zillion designs, and then I think my artist will yell at me afterwards, going, "You've actually given me too much," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm
yeah,
so sorry." Um,
yeah. I'd hard to tell what the line is. I also find that like AI is kind of ruining a lot of this stuff.
yes,
Like,
yeah,
like even Google Images, which hasn't been great for years, is like 50% like just AI slop. It's like pictures of nothing kind of. Anyway,
yeah.
um,
We got to be careful of that AI.
it's
You can
everywhere.
try if you can try and pull it out, do it. But if you can't, just be careful of what you're showing people.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not using the generative stuff. I'm just Googling like picture of a flower, and then like 50% of them are
And 50%
like,
of them are AI. Yeah.
yes, like, yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it'll come back to those days where people actually have to go out and take photos of things to
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
prove that they're real again. I was going to ask, what is your probably, and this is a little bit out of the reach question, what is your favorite comic book series or comic book character?
Uh,
And it doesn't have to be one of the big two, it can be anybody.
I'll I'll just say a couple. Uh Manga, I love Nausicaa, the Miyazaki, like you can get the two massive volumes for like
Yeah.
$50 now. It's amazing. I really love Mob Psycho, Akira. The thing that's from my laptop is the 35th anniversary box set of Akira right now. Like I love Akira. Um, Maybe more like American stuff. Like as a kid, I certainly like teenager, I loved Cages by Dave McKean. He did like Sandman covers and stuff, but
Yep.
his like writing is is really fantastic. Um, I'm just trying to picture my bookshelf right now. I really love the new Constantine, surprisingly. Um,
Oh, I haven't read
Not
that one yet. It is on the list.
It's the first Cy Spurrier, whatever you say it, the first one of those I really liked. And One Star Squadron, I can never remember the name. That was my favorite superhero comic I've read in the past year that I just like got a free subscription to the DC app and picked something random. It was
Hmm.
like really, really funny and sad. It was great. It's like superheroes doing Uber for superheroes. It was, yeah,
Yeah, and I find that when you sometimes the most random things that you randomly pick up because you think it looks cool ends up being just the best thing you've read in a while.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that I do that. I just kind of waltz into the local, which is King's Comics here, or I'll just go online. I'll just look at the covers and then I'll read the blurb and I'll be like, sounds okay. I'll pick it up and I'll be like, where has this book been for the whole of my life?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and people are like, oh, I've known about that for years, and I'm like, you didn't tell me, like.
Yeah, comics I feel like are so fundamentally not commercial in a lot of ways that it's so easy for them to exist on like a really low like level of awareness, and they're still there and they still have like a really devoted readership, but like they don't really like reach into the zeitgeist.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or, like it's easy just for stuff to get left behind. Like But there's so much good stuff.
There is so much good stuff, and there's only more good stuff coming. I find like every month I look at what's coming out, and I'm like, what is happening with comics now is so creative and so artistic. It's just taken on its own medium and life form as a way of storytelling. I find that, I talk to a lot of people at conventions and things like that. And when I do talk to them, they don't realize that it is a way of expressing the artwork and the story in a more adult fashion as well. Like, most stories are more adult, but, it is something that most people don't realize that they can read and get on board with. And I love that. I love that about comics. It's always changing. It's like a chameleon.
Yes, there is an interesting like type of comic that appeals to more of like a novel reader. Like my dad, for example, like some books he will like he loved Mouse and he could very easily read and follow that, but if he picks up something else that, when I lived there when like 10 years ago, I'd leave laying around. He just like wouldn't be able to understand which panel to look at and stuff like that. He'd just get confused by it. So yeah, it's like it's weird the hierarchy of stuff that's immediately accessible to an unfamiliar audience
Yeah.
versus things that are just like yeah, I guess book market versus direct market is kind of a parallel to that. Anyway,
Yeah. Um, Probably one last question is, besides the Starship Godzilla series, what's coming next for you, or where do you see yourself going next?
it's a good question. I was very lucky to pitch Starship Godzilla, and I was sort of like, oh, maybe I'll try getting into some writing. And that I sent that through, and I got some encouraging responses right away. And I was like, oh, I'll try again. And I've been like emailing people for like a year now with very limited results. So like, we'll have to see if there's much more writing jobs coming through or writing projects. But in terms of like the next graphic novel thing, I kind of made the choice not to commit to any deadlines for the next project I'm working on. So I've like, I want it to be 2 volumes. I've pretty much drawn 175 pages as of last week, uh, which mostly finishes the first volume. But like, I haven't shown it to any publishers or I haven't really shown it to anybody. I just wanted to not worry about the practicalities or, you know, trying to figure that in with life stuff. I just wanted to be able to draw it at a bit more of a relaxed adult pace. Um, and yeah, so I got no idea when that'll be ready to come out, but theoretically it's readable right now. Who knows? So that it's called Resting Place. It'll be out eventually, hopefully.
Nice, nice. So yeah, you've got more titles coming, which is fantastic. I think that's the goal. You don't have to have a deadline as long as you've got work coming. You're still
Yes.
being yourself.
Part of the reason I did the Godzilla pitch was that I have basically written the next 10 years of stuff for me to draw. Like this one is will take 5 years, and the next one will take 5 years, and they're both pretty much finished just because I've been working on them for so long. And it takes so long of them to draw that it's like I can't. That's why, yeah, I wanted to do some more writing work. It's like get more stuff out there as opposed to like, do put out 2 books in 10 years. It is that was kind of a tough thing to be looking at.
Trust me, I know that feeling. I know that feeling very well.
Yes.
Well, it was absolutely fantastic to talk to you, Chris, and we cannot wait to see more of both Starship Godzilla and more of your own work to come in the future. So, thank you very, very much for chatting with us.
No, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.